the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, she missed meetings in both Dalton and the township of Thornton. Is that a record? Is that some kind of record? Well, I guess all that virtue signaling that the super mayor did about needing to show up for the people. When you miss 2 meetings in one night, yeah, not looking good. Let's get into it. Here we go. Man, we have got everybody did a story on yesterday. Got a lot of drama because we're getting close to, we've got some of these primaries going on and we got the general elections going on. And so the rubber's hitting the road here in 2025. So, and especially with the insurance issue you got going in the township of Thornton, you got buses driving around. You just got, let's start with this one. What we're going to do is we're going to watch a clip from each of the major news media organizations, and they all contributed on this story. And there's a bunch of different storylines. Each one has kind of a different take on how all of this is going down. So let's get into this, and we're going to start with Fox 32. Let's do that.
In the south suburbs, tensions are at an all-time high between Tiffany Henyard and the Thornton Township. They're at an all-time high between Tiffany Henyard and the Thornton Township Board.
Our Dane Placco was on the Henyard beat today at another
Dane Placco.
meeting.
Thornton Township residents filled a community room at the South Holland Library for an emergency township board meeting. But 20 minutes after the meeting was supposed to start,
it appears we have lack of quorum. Unfortunately, there will not be a meeting.
Shocker.
that's because Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard ghosted the meeting that had been called by 2 opposition trustees to deal with the township's insurance crisis.
What's your reaction to the fact she didn't show up?
Well, not surprised. We're on the toll road of chaos right now, and unfortunately, the residents are the ones who are paying these tolls, and that just needs to stop.
Thornton Township operations have been essentially shut down since December 1st when its insurance coverage lapsed. When we tried to get inside today, the door was locked. The 2 trustees who called today's meeting have refused to attend previous meetings because they say Henyard won't turn over financial information while she's at the center of an FBI corruption investigation. And even though there was no meeting tonight, there was public comment, resident after resident getting up to blister the absent supervisor.
Sad, pitiful, absolutely the leader of an evil cabal.
And even though
Wow, we are going in. Resident calling Tiffany Henyard leader of an evil cabal. Those are strong words. You know what? Those are strong words. Do I disagree? I don't think so. Cabal might be, that might be a little bit strong. But she's certainly headed in the right directions and certainly justified in making that comment, I believe.
the township has no auto insurance, one resident showed me video she took last week showing township buses on the move in Dalton.
Yeah, it's horrible that you would do unlawful things.
This is when their insurance is lapsed.
Right, the insurance was lapsed. They've been driving these vehicles all week. She even took some people to the bingo. So she's been, and I told them this is unlawful. If somebody get hurt, the township is going to be liable.
And there's a literal price to all this chaos. Trustee Gonzalez tells me they can only find insurance in the secondary market that costs 3 times as much for even less coverage.
Talk about that for a second. This is the only segment that picks that up. Dane Placco picked that up. So you got the primary insurance market and just, providers, hey, we'll insure you. And then you've got brokers that can get, additional insurance, but they've got to go to a secondary market. And that, because Township of Thornton is so high risk right now, is why I believe they've had to go to this secondary tier. And I believe, if my numbers are correct, I'm just going from memory here, but the new policy is going to be like 300,000, something like that, for I think it's their kind of their blanket coverage. It's going to be 300 grand versus 100 grand, something along those lines is what my memory serves. If that's off, I'll update, but this is so you've had to go to a secondary insurance market because you don't have the ability to get insured in the primary because you're such a liability. Insurance companies do this based on risk, and they look at Township of Thornton and they're going, you're involved in how many lawsuits? Oh, that's not good. Yeah, we can get you some insurance. It's going to cost you. And so they are tripling the insurance cost for what they used to have. And then they've cut the actual coverage by a ton. So this is a high risk, high premium insurance policy. And those are some of the expenses that Thornton's going to have to take on due to the actions of Tiffany Henyard and co.
Nobody seems to know when there's going to be another meeting. In South Holland, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
All right. So you got that going on. Let's skip on over to Regina Waldrop at NBC Chicago.
Let's turn out to Dalton tonight. Mayor Tiffany Henyard tried but failed to cancel the first village board meeting of the new year. The mayor claiming there were credible threats made against elected officials. But as NBC5's Regina Waldrop shows us, the meeting still happened along with a protest by dozens of residents.
Many of the people who came to this meeting said they are fighting for justice for the woman who used to work as Mayor Tiffany Henyard's assistant. That woman is now suing the mayor and also Trustee Andrew Holmes. Dalton's first village board meeting of 2025. It started with a fiery protest for the mayor's ex-assistant. Residents filling the room in support of Phineas Dukes.
We won't stop.
So you'll see that they're wearing camouflage, green camouflage, and that's basically in solidarity with Phineas Dukes. They are putting pressure on Tiffany Henyard, and they are putting pressure on Andrew Holmes. That whole thing aside, that's not what was supposed to be, the purpose of this meeting, but that's one of the subplots that continually gets picked up. Let's keep going.
Fighting for your justice because we understand what you went through.
Why haven't they both stepped down? She should step down and so should he.
Dukes worked for Mayor Tiffany Henyard for about 6 months. She claims that on a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas in May of 2023, she was assaulted by Trustee Andrew Holmes. She filed a civil lawsuit accusing Holmes of assault and non-consensual dissemination of private sexual images.
So the police department declined to press charges. They said, nope, we're out. We're done. That was a number of months ago. So Phineas Dukes has a lawsuit against Andrew Holmes, that they had sex, that he basically sexually assaulted her. But more importantly, and this is a civil lawsuit, more importantly, that he took pictures and images and video of her without her knowledge, without her consent, and sent it out. And that crime to me seems more reasonable than the actual sexual assault from the standpoint of, I think Andrew Holmes, I think he did do the videoing and showing the young lady who was not awake, not conscious, whatever, in the morning, showing her body to a police officer that was on Tiffany Henyard's detail. He FaceTimed him, video FaceTime. Hey, look what's in my bed. So that's a civil lawsuit. That is these are not criminal charges. There have been no criminal charges filed. So that's kind of where we stand.
It accuses Tiffany Henyard of putting her on unpaid leave and later firing her to try and cover up the alleged incident. Police documents show that the district attorney's office in Clark County, Nevada, declined to move forward with criminal charges in the case against Holmes. Dukes returned to Las Vegas December 11th, completing a second police report, this one for unlawful dissemination of intimate images of another person. But so far, we've been unable to learn if the Clark County DA will pursue criminal charges related to this report.
I thought I was going to be here stand up for myself by myself, but look at y'all right next to me. I love y'all too.
When asked about the lawsuit a few months ago, Holmes told NBC5 no comment. In a statement, an attorney
Holmes has repeatedly, his attorney has said, do not comment on this. The best thing you can do from your position is to just basically make no comment at any point in time, because anything you say, anything you open up your mouth with will be used against you in court, and it's not going to help you. Let the lawyers do the talking, right? And that's typically how it goes.
Attorney for Henyard told us that she strongly denies all the allegations mentioned by Ms. Dukes. It goes on to say she did not put Ms. Dukes on unpaid medical leave or fire her because of any report of misconduct. As for the threats made to elected officials, the mayor pro tem says the board was not aware of any.
The board of trustees had not received any evidence of a credible threat, nor have we heard anything.
So we're back to the meeting is canceled because there's a big threat, and there's been threats against, trustees. And Jason House is basically saying, no, there was none. And the attorney at some point in one of these videos also goes on to say, yeah, that just flat didn't happen. So you've got these wildly disparate stories. I mean, you've basically got a he said, she said happening on every single one of these stories. Hey, did you show up for the meeting? Nope, but it's their fault. It's astounding to watch.
Have we been briefed on that?
We should also mention that Monday night's emergency Thornton Township meeting canceled again for lack of quorum. Regina Waldrop, NBC5 News.
Thanks to Regina for that update.
Okay, so that was the Thornton meeting got canceled, but the Dalton meeting did happen. They ran it with pro tem mayor Jason House. Clean House 2025. All right, let's hop on over to WGN 9 to their TV.
And Thornton Township tonight.
Mayor and Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, a no-show at two different meetings. WGN's Courtney Spinelli has the details on what went down without her.
The mood here tonight was much different than many of the recent meetings held. There seemed to be a bigger message of calls for solidarity and change ahead of the village and township elections this year.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Tiffany Henyard's got to go. We heard this. We heard similar chant and the hey, hey. Goodbye. We heard that at Township of Thornton. Township of Thornton, the Democrat primary, Democrat caucus, I guess it was. It wasn't a primary. It was a caucus. We heard that chant. I mean, you've got basically an army of people that are against Henyard, and you've got some Henyard supporters. But in my estimate, looking from, where I sit in Seattle, Washington, yeah, that's what we're doing. Tiffany Henyard doesn't have enough followers, doesn't have enough supporters to make a dent in any of this. So I honestly think she's just absolutely toast. But let's keep going.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard wasn't in the meeting to hear those calls. Hours before, she posted on social media saying it was canceled, citing, quote, credible threats made against multiple officials recently.
The Board of Trustees had not received any.
Who were these threats made against? Because if it's just Tiffany Henyard, I don't believe her. I want to see the threats. Send them out. If they are threats, then you're going to have some cop somewhere say, yeah, I got something going on. But instead, you've just got Tiffany Henyard throwing this out there on her Instagram and her Facebook. Hey, got some threats.
Any evidence of a credible threat.
That's why senior trustee Jason House says they went forward with the meeting. The only thing they were aware of were plans to hold a peaceful demonstration calling for justice.
The Board of Trustees recognizes and respects everybody's right to speak their voice, and we are here to hear your concerns.
During public comment, many critics still addressed Henyard as if she was in the room. The self-proclaimed super mayor has been under federal investigation while at the center of a power struggle.
I once heard you quote Dr. King about being the dream. No, Tiff, you are a nightmare.
Guess what, Tiffany? I challenge you today. Come to work, sis.
Oof, shots fired.
And addressed ongoing issues facing the village. This wasn't the first time Henyard claimed to be the victim of threats that warranted canceling or restricting access to village board meetings. Previous WGN Investigates reporting revealed vague claims and little follow-up by investigators. It's not clear where the new alleged threats Henyard referenced came from.
Now she want to call in a threat of credible. She is the threat, despite what.
Okay, yeah, I would have to agree with that. I'm sitting from my perch here in Seattle. I got to go with that. All of this stuff points to Tiffany Henyard. I mean, all these accusations, all this, hey, insurance wasn't, re-upped. Yep.
The mayor said about her threats, we feel very safe and very welcome here. So we do thank you guys.
The board gave it about 45 minutes before starting the meeting tonight, allowing Mayor Henyard and her ally, Trustee Andrew Holmes, enough time to get there. Neither showed. In Dalton, Courtney Spinelli, WGN News.
Let's move on to Jamont Terry, CBS Chicago.
Some neighbors and other politicians are fed up. In this new year, Tiffany Henyard opted to skip 2 meetings on the same day, leaving many people to wonder what's her next move as the primary draws near. Before the Dalton Village meetings,
Clean House 2025. Jason House, Clean House. Yeah. It's why these people are hell-bent on getting Tiffany Henyard out of there. And I strongly believe they're going to do it.
started, fired up residents came out to the first meeting of 2025. While it's a new year, folks still frustrated about the ongoing lack of transparency from their mayor, Tiffany Henyard. The mayor claimed threats were made before Monday night's meeting.
If there was any bona fide threat, certainly they would let the trustees know. They wouldn't let this meeting proceed. They wouldn't want anyone to be in harm's way. I think it's just a way of the mayor to try to attempt to cancel this meeting.
So after giving her 15...
All right. So I believe that is the attorney for the Board of Trustees, I believe. And he's basically saying, hey, this is a way for the super mayor to basically dip out and say, yeah, there was a threat. There's no threat.
Extra minutes to arrive, the mayor was a no-show on this Monday. It gave residents the chance to express their anger about her days in office.
Isn't her major accomplishment the $18,000 banner that we all know about on Sibley that were hung up there with her face on it?
Go to the polls. Vote.
Hours earlier, another meeting, this time in Thornton Township. The clock showed 4:15, and Henyard was another no-show.
It appears we have lack of quorum, so unfortunately there will not be a meeting.
Trustees called the emergency meeting to try to address the insurance which is lapsed in the township. Henyard claims there's no property, auto, liability, or workers' comp insurance because trustees Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle have failed to show up to previous meetings.
This is something that could have been taken care of previously, didn't have to come to the board. So they played a game with it. Now that they're kind of in a tough spot because they don't know what to do because now companies are saying, hey, we don't want to cover you.
Resident.
So the fact that companies don't want to cover them, I think it has to do with the risk associated with Township of Thornton and Village of Dalton, just because Tiffany Henyard is involved. Can she get bonded at this point? She's under FBI investigation. She got the investigation from Lori Lightfoot. That's going to be, I think they've picked a date in February to have Lori Lightfoot basically do a town hall meeting and disclose all of her information. I believe we're going to hear Bert Odelson talk about that on WGN radio. But this insurance thing is being used in a political power play because this is an insurance policy that is typically on auto renew, from my understanding. And most municipalities it is. It's just something that every year you got to apply for. And, a lot of times on the big liability policies. But if you've got basically the same information, you've got that information on file, you reapply for another years of coverage, and the insurance company gives it to you. But we've heard how difficult that's getting and that they're having to go into the secondary insurance market to get a policy because there's such liability with not only Village of Dalton, but Township of Thornton as well. It's just that the insurance policy here in Township of Thornton, it lapsed December 1st. They got 30 days of interim coverage, and now they are literally running around without coverage, as far as I can tell. I've had nobody tell me, they re-upped another renewal, from the original company. Now they got to deal with somebody totally new, and it's going to be 3 times as expensive. I'm surprised it's only 3 times as expensive.
Expressed their concerns as well about Henyard's absence.
Tiffany wants the seniors to believe that Chris and Carmen are the reasons why the insurance was not paid, therefore causing services to be interrupted.
She's a big coward for not showing up for the people.
Voters will head to the polls first here in Dalton in February for the primary election. Henyard was kicked off of the Democratic ticket for the supervisor position. That's a fight she continues to work on. Reporting in Dalton, I'm Jermont Terry, CBS News, Chicago.
All right, we gotta play Nate Rogers. I mean, we gotta go, Nate.
Absolutely, Don and Scott. Hours before tonight's meeting, Mayor Tiffany Henyard announced on social media that the meeting would be canceled after she received, quote, credible threats made by multiple, credible threats made against multiple elected officials. That meeting still took place tonight. As you mentioned, Henyard was not in attendance. Board of Trustees saying that they received no information on credible threats. Now take a look inside of the meeting. A Dalton Park District auditorium was packed with residents, most of them critics of Henyard, encouraged to dress in army fatigue. Mayor Jason House ran the meeting with at least 4 trustees and a clerk present, which constitutes a quorum. More than a dozen people spoke during public comments, addressing the township's animal control not being properly licensed, streets plowed in a timely fashion, and Henyard's alleged late rent payments on her home.
So it's my understanding that issue is about to come to a head. They're going to settle that case. I guess there's still issues on access to the home. Hey, you changed out the locks. Who's got the key? Where's the keys? Are you going to give us the keys? Well, are you going to settle? You know, those kind of negotiations are going back and forth. But the issue of
Also present was Fania Dukes, who claims she was allegedly fired by Henyard after reported being sexually assaulted by Dalton trustee Andrew Holmes in Las Vegas last year. Holmes has not been charged in this case. Here's more from Dukes and others that spoke tonight.
I'm going to be here standing up for myself by myself, but look at y'all right next to me. I love y'all too.
I would never respect someone who chose to fire a sexual assault victim to keep an alleged predator named Andrew Holmes.
We do not need her right here in this venue because we have the quorum. We swing this thing in Thornton Township, we'll have a quorum in both places.
That was Stan Lee. He's been at many of these meetings. I always see Stan Lee as a voice of reason. I don't know if that's correct, but most of the comments he's made to me always seem like, all right, this guy makes some sense. And I think he's been around for a long time.
And general announcements. Trustees went into a closed executive session to address other matters. 2 important dates were mentioned. First, a Thornton Township town hall taking place January 21st at 6 p.m. That's at South Suburban College. Secondly, February 25th, the day of Dalton's election. This latest here in Dalton, Nate Rogers, Fox 32 Chicago.
Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard was the
So here's that date set for election of Thornton Township to choose replacement trustee, January 21st. Yeah, so they've literally set up the meeting on the 21st to just go over getting somebody into Jerry Jones' position. And he stepped down this past year to focus on himself, health, and family, or some damn thing. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to finish out by listening to Bert Odelson. And I know this isn't exciting, but this is radio, and this is some of the best information you're going to get as to, we think, what is going to happen. So let's listen to Bert here on WGN. We're going to join midstream, and this is with Lisa Dent.
As if she was still there. The comments directed right at her, even though she was not in the room. That's correct.
Let's talk about Thornton Township. They had an emergency meeting because there's a lapse of insurance when it comes to senior transportation program. And I understand that the Thornton Township Town Hall building is closed because there's a lapse of insurance there. What the heck is happening?
She let the insurance lapse. And upon her own initiative, closed the building and did not attend the meeting last night, which would have reinstated the insurance and got things going where they're supposed to go. the reason the trustees, or at least two of them, have not attended prior meetings is because she's trying to push through another trustee on the board, her person, and she would have the votes to do that. So they do not want another trustee of her liking on the board. And I think the people are rising up to have a meeting to appoint their own trustee to fill the vacancy that's on the board. So,
Bert, you've seen it all. You've done it all in this city. Based on what you have experienced in Dalton and with Tiffany Henyard, is there any chance she wins the primary in February?
None.
There was virtually no pause, and his immediate reaction was none. This is an attorney, long-standing attorney, 4 decades, something like that, 4 or 5 decades of experience. Just, this is what he said. Yep, none. Listen to what he says here.
Better chance of winning in Dalton. How's that? So,
he said, you or I have a better chance of winning in Dalton than she does. So he's a boots on the guy ground. He's looking around going, okay, Tiffany Henyard has this many supporters. All right. But look at all the rest of these supporters who are coming out from various different angles, not supporting the supermayor.
None. There are a number of folks that she's given food to and fixed roads and done things like that using the government money that will still support her. But I can tell you the vast majority have just had it.
Yeah.
Just because of running the finances down to the state that she's run to, over $4 million in debt. It's a deplorable situation, and it'll take the new mayor and the new board a good number of years to dig out.
Speaking of mayors, our former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, is she still doing an investigation?
Investigation's over, and we're going to, and I think they announced last night, we're having a town hall meeting where she's going to reveal the results of her investigation, and that's coming the end of January. Not sure of the day. I think maybe January 27th, but we're not having it at a regular village meeting. We're having a town hall meeting. So anyone can come and anyone can ask questions, and there'll be no action except for Lori's report.
And what about the feds? That investigation continues?
I think so. I'm not, they don't invite me into what they're doing, but
right.
According to our communications, they're still looking for more information. And so as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah. And what about in Thornton Township? That encompasses so many more people, correct?
Yes.
So when is her role as supervisor up there?
Same date, April 1st. April 1st is the election. She is not on the ballot. Senator Napoleon Harris, who's also the Democratic committeeman of Thornton Township, is on the ballot for supervisor. And so is another gentleman, I think the mayor of Harvey. So there will be a new supervisor of Thornton Township.
Tiffany Henyard is suing to be placed on that ballot, but Bert Odelson, being an attorney, he is basically he's not giving any credence to that lawsuit whatsoever. He just stated there's going to be a new supervisor, period. There will be a new supervisor for Township of Thornton. So I kind of wonder if the FBI isn't stepping back and letting a lot of this stuff go, because it's pretty clear she's not going to win either of these positions again. That's what it's coming down to. I mean, it's not even really a guess. It's the inevitable result of basically running a couple of municipalities into the ground and then claiming, it's their fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. Look what all the stuff that I've done for you. Well, yeah.
And in all your years of politics, not just in Chicago, but nationally, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I'll just quote Lori again. I can't use the whole quote on air, but every time we talk at one of our meetings, she starts the conversation by saying, "You can't make this blank up. You just can't make."
Can't make this stuff up. You honestly can't. I mean, I'm here in Seattle. I've never seen anything like this. We got nothing to compare to. We got a bunch of knuckleheads. We've just got some tweakers. We got some crazy people. We got some socialists. We got nothing like this. We've got nothing in comparison to the super mayor, Tahoe Tiff without the Tahoes. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for joining. I will keep you apprised. Make sure you're subscribed, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.